Hello everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Leia, and today I'm going to be doing my first true crime video ever. So let me know what you guys think of this. This is about the Monsters series, not the Jeffrey Dahmer one, but this one is about the Menendez brothers, okay? I have watched the entire series and I took notes, and I'm gonna break it down piece by piece for you guys to let you guys know my opinion. I want to hear you guys' opinion down in the comments, and yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So a little background information. If you guys see me looking down, I do have some notes here to make sure I didn't forget anything. So yes, if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So Joseph Lyle Menendez was born on January 10th of 1968, and Erik Galen Menendez was born on November 27th of 1970. Yeah, 1970, so January 10th and 1970. And they are now 57 and 54 years old. They are still serving time in prison. And Lyle was 21 and Erik was 18 when these crimes took place back in 1989. So my information that I'm getting is just public information that's already out there, either from the internet or from the show Monsters. Now, I heard about this case a few years back and I was like appalled about the whole thing that had happened. And when I saw on Netflix that the Monsters series came out, I was like, I need to watch this. As far as I know, the series is exclusively on Netflix. I don't know about it being anywhere else. And yeah, I believe it is 8 or 9 episodes long. I'm not really sure. I binged it when it came out. So yes, I'm going to be breaking down episode 1 into 2 parts because the episode was like an hour long and I didn't want to do too much in one video. So I'm going to be breaking it down into 7 highlights in this video and 7 highlights in the next video. So it's going to be part 1 and part 2 of episode 1. So without further ado, let's get started. So early on in the first episode, I did notice where TikTok got the, the whole viral Nicholas Alexander Chavez clip. You guys know the edit that I'm talking about. All of y'all know what I'm talking about. Mafia, we like to see you try, the whole thing. When I was watching that, and I seen it, and then I was on TikTok a little while later and I saw the whole edit just like swirling around the internet. I was like, y'all are wild for this. So yes, that's the first thing. It's very early on in the episode. That is the first thing that obviously I noticed. So moving on to my second point. Okay. In this episode, it really shows us like the different personalities of the brothers. Erik is, as the show is, saying, I'm not making any of this up. I'm saying this was on the show. This is not my personal opinion. I don't want you guys saying like, oh, she said this, that, and the other. Like, no, this is what the show is saying. I will tell you guys my personal opinion later on. But as of right now, these are just what I've seen, what you can go see on the internet, on the episode, anything like that. This is all public information, okay? Yeah, I just wanted to get that little disclaimer out. So you guys don't think I'm like just saying this, that, and the other. Like, no, this is out there, okay? So my second point, Erik is shown to be the more like sensitive, and he is like a little bit more emotionally dependent on Lyle, and Lyle is definitely the more dominant and like assertive brother for sure. You can definitely tell that Erik leans on Lyle a lot for support, for comfort, and for that type of thing, and Erik kind of follows Lyle's lead, and Lyle's the one in charge making the decisions and things of that nature. The pressure. So what they had done, it was definitely getting to Erik a lot more than it got to Lyle, according to the television series. That's what it showed, that Erik was definitely more affected by it. He was the one with the nightmares, and it was really eating him up and like bothering him on the inside, and that is eventually why what happened. We'll get to that a little bit later. So their therapist, Dr. Jerome Oziel, Erik did call Dr. Oziel and tell them that he wanted to meet with him, having like a therapy session, right? He wanted to meet him later on in the day so that he would be his last client. So when Erik got there, he began talking to Dr. Oziel and basically telling him like, hey, I've been having these nightmares. I've been feeling a little wanting to do self-harm. You guys are picking up what I'm putting down. He was saying that, he didn't want to be here anymore. And Dr. Oziel was like, okay, and they're having a conversation about that. And then Erik went into a very detailed confession about what had happened, what he and his brother had done. Yeah, and Erik said that they were influenced by the movie Billionaire Boys Club. He said that in that movie, it was about some boys who, their parents, and he said that he and Lyle had seen that and became inspired by that movie, which is why, a part of why they did what they did. You see what I'm saying? In episode 1, it is shown that Jose, the boys' father, he's shown to be very emotionally unstable with the boys, very erratic, very like, just like loud, out there, like he's a lot for sure. That's what the show is showing us. It shows that when Erik was at his tennis match, something happened. Jose ran down there, started screaming, fired the tennis trainer, started berating Erik. It was definitely a lot. And then later on, it shows that they were at dinner and he was asking the boys questions, and he was like, what's the capital of South Dakota? And Lyle couldn't think of it. And then he was like, it's Pierre. And then he started yelling and like screaming or whatever. And it was definitely just, it just kind of showed that like the small things that happened, he got very, very upset about and was like yelling and screaming and just kind of a little bit unstable. It also showed that the mother, Kitty Menendez, kind of what she was like too. She wasn't on the first episode very, very much. It was mainly about the dad and the boys. But one scene that did stick out was that Lyle was talking about marrying his girlfriend, Jamie. And the parents were like, no, you're too young, you know. They didn't like the family that she came from because the Menendez brothers, like their family, very, very wealthy. Very, very wealthy. Jose had immigrated from Cuba, and then he met Kitty at college. They got married. And he was a very, very successful businessman. So he wanted whoever his son was going to be with, he wanted her to come from a very successful family as well. And I believe that Jamie came from more of a average family while they were extremely wealthy. So that was a part of their reservations about Lyle marrying her. And so they were getting into a very heated argument about that at the table, Lyle and his parents. And then Kitty gets up, she goes over to him, and she snatches his hairpiece off. Which, I'm not even gonna lie, I was not prepared for that. Like, I was not prepared for that. Like, she took his whole piece of hair off, and then Erik didn't even know that his brother had that hairpiece, and it was definitely a lot to unpack, 100%. But just showed, like, a taste of how cruel Jose and Kitty could be at times, and I think that's why Erik, being the younger brother, he definitely relied on Lyle for emotional support because I don't think that he got that from his parents that much. So he relied on his big brother for that. After all this had happened and they watched the Billionaire Boys Club movie and whatnot, they started shopping for firearms, okay? So, during this time, you needed 2 IDs. And the show, I was a little bit confused about this. It was like, they were like, you need 2 IDs to buy a gun, right? So they had gone to all these different, you know, gun shops or whatever, and they couldn't get a gun because Lyle's license was suspended at the time, and Erik didn't have his real license. He just had his fake one on him. So they couldn't get one. Anyways, they ended up finding one in San Diego. They ended up going there, and you only needed 1 ID, and you could buy a shotgun. So the boys bought 2 12-gauge shotguns. After they got the 12-gauge shotguns, on the night of August 20th, 1989, they went into their home and they carried out their act. In total, Jose and Kitty Menendez were shot 16 times with the shotguns, and that's where we're gonna leave it for this episode. And then in the next episode, we will get to the actual details of the crime and what they did afterwards. Hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of this series. I'm gonna go through the whole season of this show. So if you guys enjoyed this, please let me know down in the comments below. And if there's another show that you guys want me to talk about or review, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just leave it in the comments down below or DM me on my Instagram, whatever you guys want to do. Thank you guys for watching.